everyone. Welcome to the spot. My name is Tiffany.
I'm LaWanda.
I'm Ron.
And we will be recapping The Shy, episode 9, Southside with you. And we'll be right back with you.
Baby, I know where the last one burned you. Know that ain't cool. Wanna show you how I'm nothing like him. Swear that's the truth. You can't trust that I won't.
Okay, we're back and we're ready to get into it. We started off with your boys, Kev and Papa, looking like they're in Heartbreak Hotel, singing Jagged Edge, Walking Out of Heaven. That's a bop, though.
That is real bop.
That's a bop. That's my song. So
I threw it all the way back, right?
Look,
Yeah,
I was standing next to my TV show doing the same thing. I was right next to the television, kind of, lip syncing right along with it.
Yeah. That's the joint. That's the joint. And it started out, of course, with them. Both of them are still, grieving their respective relationships with their boos.
I don't know though.
And
I don't know about Kevin though. Kevin seemed to be.
Oh yeah, he seemed to be bouncing back, and he needs to be. He needs to be. He needs to be. But anyway, Douda had a conversation with Trigg, and it seems like Douda is trying to become a member of the family. How do y'all feel about that?
Well, I mean, he's always, in some fashion, been a member with the family. He took in Jake, and I think he did right by Jake in some sense. He tried to give him a little bit of responsibility, if you will. He probably taught him more than he needed to know at the time. But I didn't. Well, the end of the show probably says it all. But up until that point, I thought it might be a good idea to share some time with Douda. But.
And we'll get there. We'll get to the end of the show. I'm trying to work my way through.
Look. I'm not trying to rush it, but listen.
Yeah. From the conversation with Trigg, it seems like he's thinking about legacy. His near-death experience has kind of made him think, if something happens to him, what is it all for if you don't have anybody to leave it to? Because he doesn't have any children that we know of. So maybe that's why he's thinking about Jake and family, and Rosalind is nowhere to be found.
Yeah, she kind of dipped out real quick. And I think that's what I thought I was seeing in Douda. I thought I was seeing some change. And, with his, introspective on his life and where he's headed, I'm like, oh, okay, maybe there's some change coming.
He may be trying, but, and sometimes it's still in you. I mean, like Ghost. Like Ghost was always trying to change, but he could not get away from being Ghost. It would be situations that, he would always be Ghost. So
I'm gonna let the spotters take care of you with this Ghost thing, because I know they're gonna open up. So I'm just saying that's who he is, and that's who Douda is. Like, he is trying to change. But Ghost
just like Ghost was trying to change.
But Ghost was genuine. I'm not sure if Douda is or is as genuine as Ghost was. Douda, as you said, there's still a whole lot of evil in that man. So, he's for the time. If whatever the time is, that's where Douda is. So
I see LaWanda's face. Like, what do you think, LaWanda?
I don't know. I'm cautious with that word evil, right?
Me too.
Because I think he is a person who lives by a certain code.
Evil.
And it's something in that code, because it's always, I like his characteristics. I think he misapplies them. Like in the kind of person that he is a person who knows how to wield power. So if you're going to be the mayor of Chicago, you need to know how to wield power. Mm-hmm. Now, I think his choice about how he goes through things, I think he makes rash decisions without really thinking the consequences. You know what I mean? He creates situations that don't necessarily have to be. But at the same time, I think he is perfectly fit and suited for the job he's in. I'm talking
about his character. His character is evil. And look, Marcus said the same thing. Marcus pretty much said the same thing. That you can't, he's not going to change. And most people don't. If it's in their character, sometimes it takes a catastrophic event in your life to change character. Now, I'm not saying that he
So
doesn't.
he can't change, but Ghost can change? Come on now.
Oh, God. See, I'm trying my best with you. I'm trying.
I don't know if it's that he can't change. It's just,
Right.
you know, it depends on the level of trauma that he has to go through.
Exactly what I just said.
Yeah.
Most people change when there's an exceeding amount of trauma, and that's what makes the change. But until that,
Well, he was shot. He was almost killed. So
Yeah,
I think
but
that's what made him start thinking about legacy and Jake
Correct.
and family.
absolutely, it did make him start to look inward and see some things that might need to be done. But he never once said, I need to change. He never said, I need to start doing some
Time will
things.
tell. He
Pardon?
said time will tell.
He said time will tell.
Well,
He
time
sure
will tell.
did.
Yeah, and look what it told. So let's not even go with
Hey,
that.
we're gonna build up. Listen,
I just said, I said earlier.
The
I said
whole-
earlier.
the
about
whole
time.
episode, you know, Marcus came in there, he bust in there talking about the Olympics. And we know that Douda never really cared about the Olympics anyway. You know, that was not his thing. That was Marcus and Rosalind's thing. So that was the first thing, you know, that he was just like, well, because he was
Okay.
worrying about that. He was
And
worrying
I'm
about
trying
the
to
people.
change. He said, I'm trying to change, but don't test me. I mean, that's the thing, you know?
But don't test him. Look at
Allow him.
look at what the Olympics could have done for Chicagoans. So, and that's what
That's a
Marcus.
two-way street. That's a two-way street
Well, it
because
may be.
there have been studies on cities who's hosted the Olympics, and they tend to benefit the rich and basically still impoverish the poor, because you come and you spend all this money to put on this facade when that money could have been used to create permanent housing, permanent jobs, permanent financial situations for the people. So
But
I don't
we know
know.
that
I don't buy that that was a good thing for the city.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing in terms of respect building or looking at Chicago differently. We all know that they're never going to put money where money really truly should be. All metropolises are the same. You know, you have your ghettos that nobody seems to want to do anything about. We all know that cities can clean up their ghettos, but they're not interested in that. They're interested in what makes the city shine. And I think that's where Marcus was headed in his mind, you know, about let's give some good play to Chicago, to the, you know, and bring
Create
in
some jobs and stuff. However,
well,
yeah,
they're temporary
I was
jobs.
About the people. It wasn't
That
about
doesn't-
the
it
people.
was
Well-
not about the people, and that was Douda's thing, because I think as evil as you think he is, I think that he is concerned about the people and the Black people who were being.
Douda is
impacted
concerned.
by
I think Craig is winning him over with that. I think
he is too.
Yes, up until a point, but I think what Douda sees about Douda is he's a control freak. And what I think he sees in terms of doing for the people is getting the people on his side. It's almost like your former president. You know, it's not I'm so concerned about the people. I'm more concerned about the people being behind me. So that way I can do whatever I want to. Just like when Marcus asked him about your other side, the other side of you. To me, a man that's willing to change or wants to change would start looking at that and saying, well, I can't be mayor and a drug dealer and a kingpin at the same time. And so this is why I say whatever Douda is, he is. And he ain't somebody that's going to change very quickly. It's going to take something else for Douda to change. And right now, I don't see what that could be.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you, but it's funny to hear you say that and you not see the similarities in Ghost. Like Ghost was trying to go clean too as lieutenant governor. He still was
Ghost
doing
was
dirt,
also-
even
look,
while he
Tiffany,
was trying to run
Tiffany,
for
you and I
office.
know, don't play like you don't know. Ghost wanted out. His wife
Yeah,
wanted
he
to keep him
did.
in.
He did,
So-
but
so-
he was willing to do dirt to get out.
He was
Like
willing.
even when he was running for office,
Malcolm
he was
X
gonna. If
told
Tommy
you.
had killed Maria, he would have. But anyway,
Tiffany, by any
back
means necessary. And that's what Ghost was trying to do.
exactly.
He was
And
trying to
that's
get
Douda.
out by
And that's
any means
Douda.
necessary.
That's Douda.
Douda ain't
is
trying to
by
get out of
any
no
means.
drug thing. He's not trying to get out.
I think I just don't believe that other mayors in the real world not into dirty stuff.
I'm just-
Right, right.
So
Right.
that's why I think Douda is the perfect one for the job. I just
Right.
polished.
Y'all
Right.
double team.
I don't think he's totally evil. Like I think
I
like
didn't
he's
say
done some-
totally evil. I said he's evil.
You said he's
I didn't say totally. I know he's got some good spots. He wouldn't be where he is if it wasn't something good. But the man is, look, when we get to that part, okay, just
Yeah, we going there. We're
just
going
let
there.
me
I just think he needs another tool in the toolbox besides violence and rage. That's what I'm saying.
Yes,
I think he's fine. He needs some other tools.
yes,
Wonder
that
you
rage.
Expressing himself.
LaWanda,
rage is
you are an honorable
Sorry.
woman, and I'll leave it at that.
Though, but I think that rage is uncontrollable.
Yeah.
You know, it is. It's
You said it's
uncontrollable.
what?
It's uncontrollable. That rage, once he gets to that point, like it's uncontrollable.
Well, he gets to it pretty fast.
Yeah, well, he was helped. He was helped.
Oh, no
today.
doubt.
I mean,
no
he
doubt.
was, because
No doubt.
Marcus, he came in there with that. Then we saw the sidebar that Marcus had with Trigg outside of the office when he told him, like, the streets need to be scared of him. He said, he's not for protecting the community. Like he is the danger. So he was trying to put Trigg on the game and everything. But I don't know if you guys want to continue talking about this. If you want to talk about the main event, since we already started talking about Douda, we can get it out the way. If
No,
you
we'll
want to.
get there. We'll get there because I got to build up my
Okay.
ammunition. I got 2-1 today.
Your ammunition.
Yeah, I got to give me some time for thought.
All right. So, all right then. So let's switch gears to Emmett and them. So Emmett is visiting his mom and was having a really nice visit with Darnell too. It was nice to see that family moment with
Go back to his former boo when he had that little visit with his former boo.
Yes, yeah. So yeah. Well, we can start there then. So Emmett did go see his one of his baby moms, one of them.
Hold on.
And she basically reminded him that he won ish and said that Tiff had a reason to feel the way she did, and this is why things are going, and she told him to give Tiff some space. And I appreciate Emmett's growth because he listened to her. They had a really nice conversation. She was on her way out on a date, and he was like, okay, as long as he treat you good, treat my son good. All right. It was a nice conversation, and it was positive. And I was happy to see that growth for all the naysayers who don't think the Black men are not positive in this show. I was happy to see his growth. So anyway, that was a good scene. And then when Emmett took that conversation to see his mom and everything, and she just was like, I couldn't believe that you guys could even get to that point. So once again showing his growth, and not only his growth, Darnell's growth. Because Darnell
took it up a whole notch this time. I have to say, maybe that's one of the first times in this whole show that I've actually seen Darnell worth something. I mean, he put it down. He put it down today. Come on now. Don't.
Oh, wait a minute.
I'm saying
he's not gonna act like Darnell didn't console Emmett when Emmett first told him that he didn't. It was awkward, and he didn't really know how to console Emmett at first. But he was there for Emmett when Emmett told him that his mother was sick.
Darnell was in a situation with his son. His son was broken up. He heard about his mom being sick. Yes, Darnell's not a tyrant. He did what I would expect him to have done. He consoled his son. That's good. But this time Darnell stepped up.
All the way up.
All the way up. Look, he started rubbing feet and cooking pork chops, smothered pork chops. Hey, that's a man right there to my heart. He all the way up.
So that wasn't here for us about the second the toes. I was like,
It made me think about what Douda was talking about the need for having family, and you see them in this situation, it was kind of heartwarming. And I think it was that way and probably healing for all three of them, her reminding Darnell that I basically raised him by myself,
Yep.
I think it was a really good moment for all three of them too.
And not to mention what Darnell said, because he apologized for not being there. He was saying how sorry he was for not being there to help out and to see Emmett grow. And so there's a man I see trying to change.
Yeah, it's a
You know,
full
he
moment.
he
It's a full
he
circle
he
moment.
he looked within himself, saw how things were, and said said outright, "Hey, I'm sorry for not being there." So yes, Donnell stepped up 100%.
I think
No,
he
it was-
redeemed himself.
Say again?
I said, I think he redeemed himself.
Definitely.
I think he did too. And I thought it was cute how they were taking jabs at each other over each other's booze. Like,
Mhm.
It was like talking about how old what's it called was. And he was like, well, Jada was like, well, your boo slept with our son.
He's like, yeah, yours played touch football with him.
Right. Yours played touch football, and yeah, yours slept
Yours
with our son.
touched. Yours just
Yeah.
touched. Mhm.
Yeah, so that was funny. And it was just nice to see that little nuclear family moment, with all of them and stuff. So that was
So
cool.
is this the show showing Black positivity, Black men being in a positive state of being, something that we've been talking about for the last few episodes?
Mhm.
Not describe this as maybe the show heard us and said, hey, let's write some.
Listen, it was already taped. That's why I'm saying I just watch the show, y'all. Let it play out because
Look, I know it's just entertainment. I like to fuse in some, reality, not real, but some reality. I'm assuming, I know it's already taped, but at least it says they didn't go all out trying to be negative about Black men,
No.
at least for this point in time. So, and we got one more show to, one or two more shows to look at. So we will see what we will see.
I thought it was good for Emmett, especially with him going through all of this stuff with Tiffany, and he's getting this advice to give her time to kind of wait and see. And he can, it's kind of giving him this idea that, yeah, my mom and my dad went through all of this stuff, but yet over time they can still sit here and have dinner and we can have this moment. Now they're not together, they're not married, but it shows him that things can change, that you can be here one moment, things can fall apart and break, but then you can still come back together and figure out how to have some kind of relationship, be cordial, be friendly, and still be loving towards each other. So I think that was good for him to see, especially where he is with Tiffany.
Well, we know time,
Exactly.
time can heal wounds, but I'm still with Emmett. If Emmett wants to come out of that open marriage thing, Tiff, she's got to follow.
Oh, I agree. I mean, and hopefully she will decide that the marriage is what she wants, and in order to do that, she'll recommit to it,
Because that's where the stability is. I mean, it'll never be stable if they keep going back and forth with this, in and out open marriage kind of crap. It's, maybe it sounds like a good idea, but I'm telling you, no two people go in it exactly the same. And that's where that's if you give a chance for something to gaslight, that's where it's going to gaslight. Because no two people go into that kind of thing with the exact same frame of mind. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah. So, I mean, it seems like several of the characters are having like relationship issues right now. So we know that, Emmett is, spending time with the family, trying to get over his relationship issues. Papa is still in a funk. You see, he's been on call at the job. He pining away for poor Maisha and everything. I feel sorry for Papa. I mean, I know, things will look up for him too at some point, whether it's with Maisha or with someone else or whatever, but he'll be okay. And then Kevin is getting closer to Lene. So that's, I mean, I know she said that she wanted to be friends, but I see that her little defenses are starting to fall and stuff and everything. I know she just was looking at him as a friend. He was too corny, he was this and that, but I think she's starting to see Kevin a little differently now, especially they've been getting closer, playing the little video games and everything. It's been pretty solid. So I think things are looking up for them.
Well, it's ironic what communication will do, because she started lightening up and actually communicating to Kevin about her own personal life. And,
Mhm.
and I think that causes some reflection. And when you get that moment of reflection, then your eyes are open to what's actually in front of you. So I think what she saw in Kevin, or what she's beginning to see in Kevin, is that this is a straight up dude that, more or less, this is probably where she needs to be, because she doesn't have to deal with that negativity that's going on in her household right at this point in time. So he's actually giving her a break from all that negativity, and the wall is beginning to come down. And now she's really seeing Kevin for who Kevin really is.
Because we saw he did her a solid, because when she explained about how the brother was gone and she doesn't really like to be there with the girlfriend and everything, and he let her come over, he snuck her in the house. I was like, look at Kevin.
Yeah.
And that's who he is, and that's who Gemma fell for and stuff. And I'm gonna get the Gemma too, because I'm gonna get the Gemma, because several people chimed in about Gemma, and I was glad. But I'm gonna get to that. I wanted to talk about Keisha for a minute, and the situation with her and Octavia. Not a situation, but the conversation. I thought that was nice too, how Octavia came over to see her, and that whole conversation about the baby and the things that she brought for her and things, and then what Keisha did in turn, what she gave her in turn. That was cool, because most people would have been like really devastated that she wanted a baby for so long, and then Keisha kind of, she took her baby back and everything and stuff. So I was so happy to see that she was just giving her nothing but positivity and light.
Well, you know how we do in the hood, everybody's an auntie or uncle. And I'd really like to see Auntie Octavia be in that situation more, helping the baby grow, because she's at a position where she can do a lot for that child. And I hope that Keisha sees that, understands that, and allow Octavia to be in that life. If so, Octavia wants to be there, and I'm almost certain she does. As she said, she asked her about her life after motherhood or during motherhood, and she still has this desire to go to college. Well, she's in the right place with Octavia, because she can help her in so many ways. So I think that's a bond that really needs to get a little closer and maintain itself through all of this, baby and all.
And I like the conversation she had with her too, because she said something to her about, like, just because you wanted to go to school and everything, you had a child, that those plans don't have to change. Exactly. I know when I was in college, I had an instructor who always used to write on the board, don't apologize for life's detours. And it's true. Because shoot, some of us are single parents, and we were still able to go to college and everything. So her life is not over and everything.
If you living, you're gonna take a detour.
Yeah.
It just brings that to you,
Yeah.
So I have a detour.
And she'll just be going to school and graduating with baby in tow.
There you go.
Yeah, and I think it's good that she's kind of becoming a sounding board for Keisha to talk to, because she can speak to her mother, but her mother is still kind of questioning her decision on keeping the baby. So I think it provides a nice outlet for her to talk to, be able to vent a little bit, but still feel some support. So I think that's a good addition to the show as far as Keisha is concerned. Help keeping her on the right track.
Okay, so I feel like this episode, well, The Shine in general has been about like community, Black community and family and so forth this season. And I thought that we were having a nice familiar moment when when they were getting ready to go to the dance, when Douda pulled up, and it was Trig and Marcus and all of them, and Trig decided to let Jake take his truck, the G-Wagon, at that. For a kid to go to the spring fling with Gemma. I saw you were ready to say something, Lawanda.
No, I was just thinking about that. Like he let him have the truck, and the first thing he did was went and pick up his boys and smoke in the car.
Right. Yeah, and you know what? In the back of my mind, I was like, are the cops gonna stop them?
Yeah.
You know, that was the first thing I thought. I was like, okay, first of all, they're young kids in a G-Wagon. And you know, they smoking in the car. I was just waiting for that to happen. I was like, oh, they about to be stopped.
That's not the turn it took, right? It took another turn.
Yeah, it took another turn. But it was funny because, you know, the conversation at the house before Douda got there, you know, Marcus acts so self-righteous when it comes to Gemma. Like he was saying to Trey, like, you know, he pretty much was kind of ishing on Jake. Like Jake wasn't good enough for Gemma and everything. And Trig was like, wait a minute, like she the one started this rebellion. And I was like, yeah, you better let Marcus know that his daughter is the cause of all this foolishness.
Definitely. And that was real fresh for me. And I'm glad that, see, Trig is not the kind of guy that's gonna let that stuff just, you know, fly over. You know, Marcus can't get away with that with Trig. And I was glad to see him set him on point about his daughter. You might think your daughter's a little angel, but she's out here doing some things that, you know, causing all kind of havoc between two brothers, friends.
Two friends, two brothers.
Yeah, so wake up, my man.
Sleeping with them both.
Yeah.
You know, like don't do that, Marcus. No, don't do it.
Don't do it.
And I like the way that Trig like checked him at every turn, because he was like, oh, young man, you know, tell him how to make sure you open it. Trig was like, he got this, he knows what to do. Like I showed him what to do. So I appreciate
that's another character that has made a huge change was Trig. I mean, Trig has really made some changes, and his perspective is now a whole lot different. Except all the Douda day. I just
yeah, and that's what. But you know what? Even Douda, like when Marcus first started talking to Douda about Jake, he was ishing on Jake again to Douda, and even Douda stepped up and was like, "Your daughter, the one." Effing everybody. Right. he checked them too. Like, wait a minute. And I think that Douda, like, you know, he is Douda. He's a killer, and he's evil too, as Ron said. However, he's more complex than that. And I think that he really does care about Jake as if he's his own son. I know I read some commentary online, and some of the people were saying that they felt that he's only interested in Jake because he wants to groom him to take over 63rd and all of that. And I was like, who knows, that may be part of his plan, but I think that he genuinely cares for that kid. He doesn't have a son, and I think he feels that Jake is the closest thing to having a son.
And I can live with that. And actually, I can live with both. You know, it could be that, you know, he's looking for a successor for 63rd Street. Who knows? I mean, and Jake, you know, could be that, but I also believe that he sees a lot more in Jake than just being, you know, some kind of drug runner. So it does stand to reason that with all the energy that he's putting into Jake, that he may see more in Jake. And the fact that he has an administration now, you know, he's the mayor, and as we saw, he even invited Trig to be a part of that group. You know, Trig didn't want to wear a suit, but he said at least wear open a shirt and a collar. You know, so yeah, I can honestly say that there are some moments of growth in Douda that we see, but hold your horses. But the horses in the stables, they ain't going nowhere right now. So, you know, it's just a lot has to happen before I can start singing the song of Old Douda Day.
Well, I mean, listen, we know his hands are not clean. We know that he's no saint. We know that. And you know, after Trig and them left, I mean, well, after they let Jake take Gemma to the dance, which was interesting too, because when he slipped and said that he was taking Gemma to the dance, Papa looked at Kevin. I know I was looking at Kevin like, what you gonna do? What you gonna say? But I was like, uh-oh. But Kevin took it in stride. Like, I know his little pride was hurt and everything, but he dapped Jacob like, this is still my boy, this is still my brother and everything. I was like, wow.
And
You know,
right. And it shows who Kevin really is, because
yeah.
you know, he got over that. You know, he realizes that friendship is more important than, you know, a fling, you know, a moment in time. So I appreciate it. I appreciate his you know, ability to dap him up and say, hey, just wash this damn truck, you know.
Yeah, he sure did. Why you don't take her in this? It looks a mess.
Exactly.
And then he was able to get Lene to come to
Mhm.
the dance too, and everything. And it was funny what Lene said. Oh, she looked like the type that would leave you for your boy. I
Right.
said, oh.
But yeah, I thought that was interesting that Kevin, it's almost like he's working his way there, but he still has a little lingering, because why would you want to go to the dance and see them there? You know, it's just a little bit left that he's slowly working out of his system.
Yeah.
And Jake, yeah.
Yeah, because it's his first love. So you don't expect them to just like not, you know, just stop feeling for her.
But I was like,
no,
take her to the dance.
That's torture. That's torture
Yeah.
though to me. I think he misses the school too, because he was like, you know, let me show you around and things like that. Because those were his friends too, and he did not want to. Yes.
And basically, what he was doing, in my opinion, what he was doing was sharing with old girl his life, his side of town.
Mhm.
And, you know, and that's so basically saying that, now I know where you live. Hey, come and check me out, see what I'm about. And so that's an eye opener for her too. You know, she may want to have a part of that life. She now can understands, I believe she can understand that she can have that life and still be who she is. So I think it's a very smart thing for him to take her to the school, show her around, and say, you know, this is me now. And she went with it.
It was him, because he's not in that school anymore.
Yeah, but it's just interesting on the night that they having a dance. That does seem like torture. That's all.
No, I agree with you. I'm like, I wouldn't want to be in that space knowing that my ex-boo is at the, I mean, look, and I know everybody else had to know that Kevin was dating Gemma too. And then now he's there dating Gemma at the spring fling. And it was crazy because he left weed in the car, in the truck. So they had to leave.
Yeah, he left it in the backpack at the girl's house.
Yeah,
at the girl's house. And knowing that the father, like, he already thinks Jake is a bad influence. Like, that thing, the piggyback on that, the bad influence, the conversation that Marcus had with Gemma before the dance was interesting. Because it was a father-daughter moment, which was cool. It was cool, but it was a decent exchange, because he was trying to check her on her association, and she came right back at him and was like, I could say the same for you.
But you know what's interesting about this? I don't think we ever talked about it. The time that he caught Kevin spending the night over there and saw him on the camera, and he never said nothing about it. So it's interesting, these conversations that he's having with her, but he's not addressing that issue. You know what I mean?
I always thought that was weird too, because he saw him on the camera and he was, oh, this little nigga think he's slick, whatever. But he never said anything to Kevin. And I don't know if he
hasn't said anything to her, like, okay, you're not gonna have guys sleeping in the house. You just
exactly.
I would have thought he would have banned Jake from ever being in that house again.
And Kevin.
Kevin.
I mean, Kevin, that's what I mean. The Jakes and the Kevins, you know, you would think that, because, you know, he's a little uppity, you know, light-skinned brother that think he's more than.
Are we going
there? I'm just saying.
You're gonna stop that up.
I ain't got nothing.
You could have stopped the uppity.
I got nothing against light-skinned brothers. I'm just saying, you know, he just happens to be one of them uppity light-skinned brothers that, you know, think that anything darker than him, you know, ain't quite right for his little princess. So, look, we all know that exists, so don't y'all get all.
I mean, no, I know, but he can't.
Now, come on now, work with me here. Just work.
I'm on the other side of that fence.
I'm just saying that's how it appeared to me. Little light-skinned brother thinks he all that and think that everything else is beneath him. Well,
I think he's just elitist. That's what I think. And I think that he tolerated Kevin more because Kevin was more outwardly facing. Like, we talked about this before. Kevin presents well. And he presents better than Jake. And I think he was more, he was just more open to accepting Kevin than Jake, because Jake is a little more rough around the edges, even though Jake is a good kid too.
Yeah, I think so. I think he could look at Kevin and think, maybe see some parts of himself, some kid that may not be coming from the best economic circumstances, but still a kid with potential that he could see being in his shoes one day. I think that's how he looked at Kevin. But I still don't get why you still not sleeping in my daughter's room.
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I was like, I still don't understand that.
I didn't understand it either. I was waiting for him to say something, was to say like, I saw you on the camera, right? But he never addressed it. At least we didn't see him address it. And but that leads to, like Jake was on his way back to the house. But meanwhile, Douda and Marcus are at the house. Yeah, squaring off. Like, because I was wondering why Douda was still there. Like, after the familiar moment and they sent them on his way, I was surprised at, like, why was Douda still there in the first place? But
Marcus had to get.
That's why I asked, was it premeditated?
Well, yeah, it was premeditated. Marcus had some stuff to get off his chest, so he invited Douda for a drink. And then I think Marcus had one too many, because everything you said about Douda was just negative, and you were bringing him down, and you weren't doing anything to protect yourself from what ultimately he got, which was a severe beatdown. And I'm gonna tell you, there are ways to say to someone, you need to change. And there are ways to say to somebody, I'm not online with your habits or the way you're running things. But see, Marcus didn't take that road. He took that road less traveled that most people wouldn't do. Nobody goes to a Douda type and lays down the pipe verbally like he did, because you might get the pipe physically. And
you don't threaten a gangster, and he did it multiple times, and that's why I think it was premeditated. I think the encounter in the office, I think Douda had made a decision that this dude is a problem.
You gotta go, right?
You gotta go. I think he'd already decided. So by the time dude pushed him, he just clicked. But I don't think he pushed him very far. I think he'd already kind of made it up in his mind that Marcus had to go. Maybe he didn't intend for him to go right then that way, but I think he already made it up in his mind that Marcus is a problem.
Look, you don't throw no right hook to no brother's jaw and expect to get away with that. I mean, he did not have to strike Douda. He had to
strike Douda, but Douda didn't have to beat him down and not.
No, he didn't. That's what I said about.
No. Let me say this: when you step off like that, you should expect anything to happen to you.
True.
So my whole point is, and if you were smart before you step off like that, you might think, what could happen to my little ass if I step off like that?
He's a killer.
It could be a punch. It could be another throw. I could lose my life. You got to think about those little things before you start squaring up with somebody that is a killer.
That He's
a known killer. You knew he was a killer. What made you think you can get away with that? Now, I'm just speaking from man to man. If you're gonna square off on somebody, you better accept the consequences that follow that. I'm not saying that Douda did right or wrong. I'm just simply saying is, once you pull that trigger.
Well, I agree with that. I think when he started saying about the Brandon situation, and you killed Brandon, and then Douda justified, he confirmed, he was like, well, I had to, and I was just like, wait a minute, how does Marcus even know about that? I know I was having a conversation offline with my son, and he was like, Roz told him. She was like, Roz, he said, I bet you Roz been lining all this stuff up because she want Douda's spot, so she's been conferring with Marcus behind the scenes, because I was just like, how does he know that Douda was behind the Brandon situation? Like,
close to the street. I think he's a little bit closer to the street
than we believe, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was like, how he know? Like he knew all the dirt, and he was threatening to tell it, and he hit Douda because Douda also said like he disrespected Gemma when he said, well, she been effing everybody, and so
Well,
and
look,
it is true, but
let the truth fall where it may. But
well, right, it's true. Like, but
so
that was his baby, so he hit Douda.
I'm sorry,
And that's all Douda.
Your baby is opening legs to every young kid in the neighborhood.
Two friends,
Whatever. I'm just saying, if it happens to 2, could be 4, could be 10. I don't know. We know 2.
Oh,
So
see, don't do that. She's still a little girl. She's still a little girl.
Just saying.
She's still a little girl.
She's still a little girl. She was 14, 15, still a little girl. 2 friends.
She's old enough to know better. And the fact is, she's doing what she was doing. You should have been able to take that little mouthpiece that Douda said, because he was only trying to shed some light to obviously what you didn't know or you didn't care to know.
Oh well, I mean, he got to know now because she's with Kevin's friend, so you got to know. But it went too far, and Douda snapped.
Look,
that rage that we were talking about, and he darn near killed the man. Now, do y'all think he's dead?
No, and I'll tell you why. Because when Gemma was walking the hall in the
previews, I saw that too.
Yeah, she said, "I want to find the person that did this to my dad." She didn't say, "I want to find the person that killed my dad."
Yeah.
So that to me says that to me, I know it may be a stretch, but that to me says that, Marcus isn't dead. And, and also I think Trigger did find a way to talk Douda out from that stance, let him die, but there again.
No, they probably left. Left.
This is that evil I'm talking about. When you see the man bleeding to death on your carpet or on his floor, and you still want the dude to die. Now you beat him down to he started it, he got beat down. Leave it at that. But you want him to sit there and bleed to death in his house, where his daughter is going to at some point come home and find her father, her only surviving parent, on the floor bleeding to death. Now if that ain't evil, I don't know what it is. You help me with another term. It ain't godly.
Someone who's decisive and willing to act. I have an appreciation for people who take charge and make decisions, right? And knows how to wield power. That I guess I'm just looking at it like that. And I'm not saying that
you teach college, don't you, LaWanda?
I'm not saying that what he did was right.
You're a college teacher, aren't you, LaWanda?
I could think he could have done something different, but I will say
LaWanda,
most people will say that when you're in a position of power, you have to know how to act. And I'm telling you, I could see in his head, aside from him being insulted, him being enraged, somebody physically assaulted him, and this is how you respond in the street. There's also a thought in my head that this dude is going to be a problem for me. He's continuing to threaten me. He's a person who had resources to help me get elected. All he need to do is turn around and spend those resources with somebody else. So if you're in survival mode, this person is threatening you. He's threatening your position. So what do? You take him out. And I'm not saying right or wrong. I'm saying I understand the thinking. This is a warrior. He has a warrior mind, right?
Right.
You know what? We're talking the same thing. It's cereal to cereal. It's cereal to cereal. You just talking oatmeal, and I'm talking raisin bran.
I'm not willing to call it evil, though.
But you're calling it. You're calling it cunning. And so what you're basically saying is that Douda is cunning into this thing. He's thinking. Premeditation. This is like in
the military. I would say he was a great battle strategist. So that's why I'm not willing to call it evil, because
but he's not in the military. He's not in the military. So look, come on, you the lawyer. I'm just saying.
People in real life play those same games. So I'm not pretending like this is just fiction.
No, because there's reality to it. Look, you don't go out and strike a man like that and not expect to get a beat down.
Right.
That's my whole point. I don't care who he is. if he's a strong man, that's what I'm saying. You know, he could be mayor or president. If he's a strong man and it's just you and you strike him like that, chances are turning the other cheek is not going to be what you get.
Ron, so where did Douda cross the line? Is it the multiple strikes or is it the leave him there and let him die? Where did Douda cross the line?
I didn't say he crossed any line. But if you want to know, if you want to be,
as you say, he's evil. So
yeah,
well,
that's what she getting at. What makes him evil?
The evilness is, first of all, evil. Okay, let's just deal with what I said. I said he's evil. Okay, you're gonna take that cane and beat him consistently, as if you were trying to kill him. That's an evil thought. You know, it's not like he pulled a knife and you got cut and he cut you and you're defending yourself. And now it's either I'm going to die or he's going to die. He hit you. Yes.
He was in a rage. If you're in a fight, you don't think about all that.
And you instantly get to a point where you want to take this brother's life and his home, not thinking about anything else except what you're doing at that point in time. Now, if you ask the question, where was the line crossed for me? It's when you say, let him bleed to death.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, you got your revenge, you beat him to near death. And now you're saying, just let him bleed to death. Now that's evil to me. Okay. That's just taking it a step farther than what it had to be. Because in my eye, it's self-defense. He struck you first, he goes down with a beat down.
Mm-hmm.
That's self-defense. You know, you couldn't get premeditated murder from it. You know, it would be manslaughter. So he hit you, he struck first. But when you have the opportunity to help him,
okay,
and you say, hell with him, let him bleed on the floor to death. I don't care about his daughter coming home finding him dead. I don't care about any of that. Hey, that's evil.
Mm. Now, I'm still tripping off Ron because he has all this grace posts, but none for Douda. Like, you know,
here we go.
He took out the whole New York network and stuff. and that wasn't evil. That wasn't evil. Like, come on.
Ghost had reason. Ghost had
getting no grace here.
Douda had reason.
He did have reason. Dude hit him. He was threatening. He was threatening his administration, talking about the dirty deeds that he did in the past. That stuff with Brandon was foul, but it also happened before he was mayor.
Ghost don't get his hands dirty like that. Not like that. He don't get his hands dirty like that. Ghost
killed the whole New York network himself.
Okay.
Himself.
And we know why he had to do it. We know why he had to do it.
He had to do it because he wanted to walk away clean. But he was being strategic, right? It was why he did it. He wanted to go clean for Angela and stuff. So everybody who saw his face, he took all of them out in season 2, the end of season 2. Was that evil? Like he was trying to do straight.
It was strategic.
But that wasn't
strategic. It was strategic because Ghost was in a war.
No, he was strategic, but Douda isn't strategic.
But
this is what I'm saying, Ron. Like you have all
in the heat of the moment. No, you all are missing it. One is in the heat of the moment. The other is a strategic battle between gang lords. Those are two different battles, sweetie. I'm just simply saying, in the heat of the moment, you're going to strike back.
Go ahead, Lawanda.
Hold up. No.
Douda made a decision a long time ago that Marcus was a problem and had to go. Now, Marcus presented him an opportunity in the moment to say, now is the time and this is the way.
He not only presented him the opportunity, he gave him a reason.
So, he was going anyway, is what I'm saying. That
was in the heat
rather than him saying, I'm gonna figure out another smarter way to get rid of this.
I don't think that it was premeditated though like that. I think that if here's what I'm saying. If Marcus had not struck if Marcus hadn't struck Douda, he wouldn't have his head busted open now. If I'm
Douda, and I really was wondering about this when Douda was thinking about Jake. Now that he knows that Jake is dating Marcus's daughter, that could have been an avenue too. Because I'm thinking that Douda plays dirty. Yes, he does.
But remember,
I'm telling you, he was going to get Marcus one way or another.
Remember,
Marcus presented
but
him
remember,
an opportunity in the
but-
moment.
But remember, Douda told Trick to F Marcus, let him go. He wasn't worried about Marcus. When Marcus stormed out of his office, he wasn't concerned with that.
I think
Douda wasn't concerned with Marcus. Douda would have said, Douda would have fired him and said he's a disgruntled employee and don't know what he's talking about.
It's not that clear cut. He wasn't an employee. He was a person who donated to your campaign. He was a funder. He was so it wasn't like that. You can fire him, but it's not like he needs the job. That's not what that's about. That's one of that, like, it's like any other administration. People who donate, they get to be a part of the administration so they can make policy.
In hopes to be,
fired him or not, he was gonna be a problem. That's what I'm saying.
Yes, I understand that, but I don't see the premeditation in that beatdown. That's all I'm saying. Y'all are mixing and matching. The beatdown came from the fact that he struck first and you got beat down. That's all I'm saying.
And that's fine. But what LaWanda is saying is that Douda was probably thinking about getting him up out of here anyway.
Yes, I understand.
And the beatdown gave him the opportunity.
I gather that. That's why he told Trick, let him go. I know he wanted him out. I mean, that's obvious. But the point was, I don't think he wanted him out with his beating him to death. That was an opportunity that arose because Marcus stepped off first. And he stepped
about all the times he threatened him. Every time
the way he was beating him with that cane, it didn't seem like he had time to think about much of anything. He was winding up and he was striking with that cane like every half second. He was putting that on him. So that was just, again, in the heat of the moment, this is what happens in real life. We all know that. People die, and then you might have some, second thought on, man, I didn't mean to kill him. You might have that thought, but I didn't see that in Douda.
He had a lick of remorse. He had a lick of remorse. He was
emo. That's an evil doer. Look, I'm sorry. That's just evil. Now you can box evil up any way you like. You can put a ribbon on it. I don't care. You can spray perfume all around it. It's still evil, and it's gonna smell. He said, I don't care about him. Let him die. He had no remorse, not one iota. When you can look in Douda's eyes, his eyes were like, so what is like,
yeah, even when Trigg came in, he didn't flinch. When Trigg saw that, Trigg was more panicked than Douda was, because he was like, this is an official. This is a public official that you've done this to. Like, this is gonna bring some type in his house. This is the type of heat this is gonna bring. This is not a good look. Douda did not care. And then to top it all off, Jake and Gemma were on their way back to the house. Jake goes in, leaves Gemma in the car. He sees what happens, and he's shook. He comes back to the car, does not tell Gemma.
Now, should he have?
No.
That's what I was getting ready to ask you guys if y'all thought he should have told her. Like, he got her out of there without saying anything, and he was shook the rest of the evening. Because
Trigg was there. Now, maybe if it was just Douda, maybe you tell, but not because Trigg was there. I think that's the hesitation, because he's involved at this point. He may not know to the extent, but
yeah, because Trigg was holding his head, and Trigg said, like, bro, it's not what you look like. I didn't do this, And so he just wanted.
I would think that that's probably the only reason he didn't say anything to Gemma, is because he didn't know the circumstances as to what he saw. But I don't know. After looking at the preview for next week, Gemma's walking around trying to understand who did this. So yeah. So now, here we got a failure to communicate again. So I can see that relationship when she finds out, I can see that relationship with Jake being over and done with, because for one thing, she's going to be upset with Jake for not saying anything when he got in the car. And had he died, or, we don't know, but had he died, that would even make a stronger argument for Gemma to say, my daddy died because you didn't speak up. I could have perhaps taken him. We could have perhaps taken him to the hospital. We could have called. I'm just saying how people think. And to some degree, that might be true, because if Jake didn't, I mean, if Trigg didn't call an ambulance like he said he would or wanted to, and this guy dies in the hospital because all of a sudden at some other point he just decides we got to call, then his death is probably as much on Trigg's hand as it is Douda, because you should have called immediately. Seconds count when your head is bashed in.
That probably would have got Trigg killed if he tried to call, because I don't doubt that Douda would have tried to kill him too. Like, if you pick up that phone, you next.
Yeah, but I don't know if Trigg with his, I mean, Douda with his, limping self coming out of the hospital, he ain't 100%. And
But he was 100% to beat this dude down.
Well, that didn't take
He
much.
was strong enough to
That didn't
beat
take
Marcus
much.
half to death.
That
So
didn't take much. Marcus couldn't take the first blow of that daggone thing. So my point is, he lying on the ground and he got beat. So Douda, I mean, Trigg, I think, first of all, would have taken the cane from him. So I don't see it going down quite like that if Trigg were involved. I don't see it that way. Doesn't mean it couldn't happen, but I don't see it that way. Marcus is not from the street. He's not a street. He's not a street.
we don't know that. We don't know that. Marcus
Okay,
could be
let's put it this way.
that made
Let's
good. He
put it this
probably
way.
came from the street and climbed the ladder. We don't know he's not from the street.
Let's put it this way. If he is, he forgot what street life is all about. And I can tell you right now, he forgot, because you struck a man who you know is a known killer. Now, if you're in the street, that ain't something you do without some backup.
I don't, it's nothing Jake could have said to her in that position. He did the right thing. There's nothing he could have said.
Yeah, he got her out of there. You see,
Which
she
was
was
cool.
trying to even be, yeah, he did. And she was trying to be intimate later. He was like, I'm cool. He was like, no, he was just not,
Yeah.
he was not in that space. He was shook. So talking about that, we seeing the previews for next week, I think what's gonna happen, my prediction, I feel like, Marcus, I think that she may, when she does go home, whenever he find him, he might be clinging to life. And she might be the one to call the ambulance or whatever, and I think he may make it to the hospital, and who knows, I think he might die in the hospital. I think he's not dead yet, but I think he may, or maybe in a coma or something like that. And so, because I saw the previews where she was saying to Jake, we need to find out who did this. And then I also saw the previews where Trigg was talking to Rashad. And in the previews, Rashad was like, if anybody finds out that you were involved with this, like, you're going back to the pen.
I was like, why would he tell him? But
That's what I was going to say, because the last thing I heard, the conversation with Rashad was supposed to be, I thought he was supposed to be checking Rashad over the stuff that happened. I mean, he already put Rashad out, but I thought there was going to be another conversation. So,
see, that kind of implies something else too, because that kind of, to me, implies that Trigg and Douda just got up out of there and let him stay and had him just lying on the floor.
that's what I think.
Because Trigg was, and then you go home and you're thinking about this thing and you go, oh man, I need to talk to somebody. So he goes back and
you talk to Imani. That's
Yeah.
he should have. He should have, but he calls his boy and and trying to get some, I don't know what he was trying to get out of Rashad. But Rashad did make a good point, and that's why I say if Trigg didn't call an ambulance, if he left, then he is as culpable as Douda, because you left a scene where someone needed help and you did not help, and you know that the man was beaten to near death, and it just seems to me now, it makes kind of sense why he was talking to Rashad and why Rashad said what he said, because y'all left him there to die.
Well, I feel like this. The only way I can see him going to Rashad is if say that Marcus did die or was nearly dead, and maybe he reached out to Rashad to help him get rid of the body or something like that. And maybe that's how they, but I don't
Well,
know.
he had to be in the hospital, because that's seeming like where.
Yeah, I think he's in the hospital. I do. I think he's clinging to life.
Yeah, the question is, who put him there? Who got him there? And I'm more inclined to believe that maybe Gemma had come home and saw him lying.
That's what I'm thinking happened.
Oh,
I think they left him, and Gemma probably called and everything, and he probably is, if he is still alive, he's probably maybe comatose or barely, not conscious or whatever, because he's probably not able to identify, Douda and everything. And that's why I feel like I don't think he's coming out of this. Marcus, maybe he will, but I don't feel like he's coming out of this.
I for once in so many ways I'm in agreement with you.
In so many ways, okay. Well, do you guys, I think we've covered everything for this episode. So do you guys have any predictions for next week?
Other than this thing with Marcus, I'm good. I don't see anything else really. I think the highlight of the show for next week is going to be what happened to Mark.
I agree with you. And as you already know, and I probably forgot to mention that Tierra's out this week, but she'll be back next week with us to recap the season finale. So if we don't have any other predictions besides those, then we can go ahead and close out. Thank you for tuning in. Please give us your comments down below. Click on the notification bell so you can get all of our videos. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And I think that's it. We can wrap this up.
Ain't it obvious? I just
Bye-bye.
have to check for the
Bye.
positive.
See you
750
next
for the
week.
sound wave to get it processed. Won't stop to that shit. Weighing down my pockets. My main things to my main thing. She a blossom. When she eats the pain with the brain, she a doctor. She open up, then a thing thicker than the plot gets. Swear that shit is awesome. Sight for the optics. Young nigga on top. Nike's all I'm rocking, so that all they see is checks from where the head to where the socks fit. No logo on the bifocal, flicking no roach tips. Won't even show my face until all the shows book. Need the cash in advance, leave them all social. I'm the guy they chosen. Rise up like the rose and put them on a poster. All the way up in the sky where the stars posted. Sip it on that rose, I put it down on coasters. Stack francs from the waves till I own the ocean.